Should be live.
Should be live. Are we live? I don't have an update.
Should be.
We're live. Welcome to the War on Truth. I'm Brother T.H. Ferrell. This is Brother Phillip, Ruth, and the Alabama kid is kind of hit off to the side there. We got a little earlier start than normal, and wanted to talk to you about a few headlines, things that's going on in our country today. Brother Phillip was talking to me just a little bit ago about, what'd you say it was, an IDI?
Yeah, IED or whatever.
IED, yeah.
IED, yeah.
Where was that at?
Somewhere in Knoxville down off I-40, they said. They had the road blocked off.
Wow.
I was trying to find it, but it was down around Pellissippi, I think, down in that area.
And that,
just on the interstate, sitting on the side of the interstate, I reckon.
it's a crazy world we're living in.
Living a crazy, crazy world.
And then somewhere in, was it in Morristown, Brother Jerry? At a bank?
Yeah, had a bank. The young man was kind of going in and out several times. Didn't hold them hostage or anything, but was threatening them with blowing the place up. Had a bomb with him, and it was just really not doing exactly what he should be doing. But they didn't close the bank or anything, from what I understood. But just really a lot of mischief going on with the explosives, and people just acting out of their heads, man. It's just some really odd stuff.
You think about it, this generation that's coming up now, they have seen so much of that on television and in movies, and they've acted it out in video games. Those video games will numb them to, I mean, it's almost like it becomes a game to them.
Yeah.
That's right.
And it's really had a tremendous effect on the mental well-being of our younger generation coming up. And we've taught them violence all their life through. Well, you know, if you're gonna fly an airplane, man, they don't just throw you in a great big airplane, turn you loose. You're gonna fly a simulator for a long time, you know.
That's right.
And that's what it is. It's just a simulator, and it promotes violence in our society that we live in. Amen. One thing I want to jump on real quick. I think the most pertinent thing that we have that we need to talk about, that I think Christians ought to get involved in, and I actually made the call. I'll give you the number here in just a moment, but I have a number that you can call to get a word in to, is it Diana Harshberger and Marsha Blackburn? But Biden is preparing to hand American sovereignty over to the WHO. You guys read any of that? Seen any of that?
I was reading on some of it today. Yeah. If you don't know who the WHO is, that's the World Health Organization.
Yeah, it's not the rock band, right?
No, it's not the rock
all
band.
the kids, they wouldn't know who that was.
They wouldn't know who the WHO is, right? We got young people out there, you don't have a clue. They're Googling it now. Who's the WHO?
Yeah, who's the WHO, yeah.
Who's the WHO?
But it's the World Health Organization. Here's what scares me about the World Health Organization is they are literally run by the CCP. Guess who runs the CCP? China. Yes, sir. And let me tell you something about the Chinese people, and I've been to China. They're crafty people, and they're very intelligent people, and they've been buying up a lot of American property for a long time. And this isn't a personal opinion. If it's an opinion, I'm going to tell you it's my opinion. But my opinion is that they own probably 2/3 of the government we have anyway. If you stop and think about, which was rumored, and I'm telling you it was rumored, on January 6th when the big insurrection was supposed to have happened. You know, it amazes me they don't want to talk about all these billions of dollars they burn up while George Soros paid all those rioters and stuff. They don't want to talk about that, but let's don't talk about anything real important.
No, we
but
can talk about that.
January 6th, though, it was rumored that when supposedly when Pelosi and all those fled out, you know, that their laptops were connected straight into China at the time. That's just a rumor. You can't really, but I wouldn't doubt it.
That's right. But this health or this amendment thing, or it's an amendment to this. It's called the International. Where did I see it at?
Health and regulations.
Health and regulations. It was the first one was in 2005, and it didn't have a lot of stuff with it. But now they're trying to amend it. One of the scariest things is it gives them, we lose our sovereignty as a nation. We're allowing some part of you in to dictate what we do and what we don't do in the public health crisis. And I was reading some here, it increases surveillance of how all the members will take risk assessments and take how they are gathering information and how they're assessing and how they're doing what needs to be done to prevent the crisis if it comes up. But one of the scariest things is they can take information from secret sources.
Right.
And there's one article here I read which is the World Council for Health. They say that under Article 9, the WHO can rely on undisclosed sources for information leading it to declare a public health emergency. Here's the key. Those sources could include Big Pharma, WHO funders such as the Gates Foundation, and the Gates founded and funded GAVI Alliance, as well as others seeking to monopolize power.
Right.
That's a big issue. And then they said it weakens our sovereignty as a nation under Article 12 when the WHO receives the undisclosed information concerning a purported public health threat in a member state. The director or the general of the WHO emergency committee, member state, however, he or she can unilaterally declare a potentially or act public health emergency or international concern.
Right.
So in other words, the director they give him authority to replace national sovereignty as authority. It takes out our own people and our elected officials out of who leads us, who are supposed to represent us, and gives control to a whole different organizations, which we don't vote them people in.
Right. Well, and it also, I read an article on that, and it also said that it could extend out to gun violence, anything that they deem, under the World Health Organization. Here's the thing that really got me about it, though. On January 18th, 2022, it said officials from the Biden administration, watch this, quietly sent the WHO extensive amendments to the current international health regulations without an official statement or a single press conference. The proposed amendments, in combination with the existing ones, enables Director General Tedros, however you want to say his name, at Hanam, and any future director at will, to be able to implement their interventions and to declare health emergencies. So, if I said this last week, if you don't think that our government and some people from around the world had something to do with this last shutdown, let's say it that way. I'm trying to stay out of trouble, but and Mr. Gates, sir. If you don't, then you probably don't want to watch this, because we very much think so, and I think that they're planning another one after the midterms. And I heard somebody say that if we go ahead with what Biden is proposing, his team made the amendments to give away our sovereignty. Whose side is this rascal on?
It ain't ours.
Yeah, it ain't ours. And they wrote up the amendments to give away our sovereignty, and so I mean, winner, chicken dinner. Guess what's going to happen after the midterms?
Right.
We'll have another pandemic, and this time they all but destroyed the American economy. And I saw this big thing the other day. It's talking about all the jobs he created. You know what? And it has nothing to do with he didn't create any jobs. No, it was just jobs that were coming back that they turned this pandemic loose on us and shut down to begin with.
That amazes me that nobody is talking about that. That he didn't create any jobs. He didn't. The economy hasn't bounced back the way they're claiming. They actually created the ability to get a job because of all the jobs that they demolished. I mean, you look at all the restaurant workers that they're able to hire in, all the healthcare workers that they're able to hire in, is all because of the ones that they fired.
Right.
The restaurants that closed down, the healthcare workers that they fired because they refused to get the shots, the military people that they displaced, the electricians and everybody that got displaced out of engineering places from the nuclear facilities and so forth and so on.
Right.
All of this stuff became a problem because of them displacing people because they refused to get the shot.
Right. Before I forget it, let's give them the number, okay? Is there any way to put the number on the screen?
I probably can, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to give it to you, and Brother Jerry's going to try to get it on the screen. The number you need to call is...
Let me write this down. Hold on. That way I can put it up here. Go ahead.
Is 202-224-3121. And I called today, and they'll ask you what state, and then they're going to ask you if you want to talk to your congressperson or your senator, and you can leave them a message. And I left a message for Marsha Blackburn today. So Brother Jerry's going to get that number up there. Hey, please let me encourage you. We need to blow up their phones. And we need to let them know that we don't want our sovereignty messed with. I really think it's against the Constitution what he's trying to do right now anyway. I think, there was something else on that I was going to, that I had about that. What I was reading on it said anything that they thought was a potential. And another thing, if you look, and I may have sent you a video on it, Jerry. I'm not real sure.
Which one is it, bud?
Well, okay, I've got one where they're talking about what we're talking about on Fox. Let's do it. And then I had one. I don't know if I sent you the one or not, where those people were in. Some of them were in Wuhan, China, and they got them locked down because of the potential threat. And we can sit there and say it's in.
Here?
Yeah, I can see. That's the one from Fox. Yeah. Can you play that one and let people see that one?
Okay. I'll get it up there and then I'll play it.
I guess the question is, can they see it?
Committee, who has been all over this. Chris, when I first saw this, I thought, oh, this is just a kind of a wonky thing. WHO, what does this really mean? Sovereignty. This is critically important.
Absolutely, and thank you for having me on, but more importantly for bringing focus to it. This is a situation where there are regulations with WHO that go back to 2005, and they equally gave nation states like the United States the ability to collaborate and not a unilateral power. Well, under this Biden regulation, I have it right here, series of amendments begins on May 22nd at the World Health Assembly, WHO. They will get rid of that. They strike lines through the language where the states, the countries, have to agree. They also, and you nailed it, when it comes to the issue of enforcement, what are we going to do in response? If a country like the United States says, we don't think we have this health emergency you're saying, we have 48 hours to give an accounting to the World Health Organization. And Dr. Tedros, I've known him for years. He used to be the health minister for Ethiopia. He did an awful job there. He covered up a lot of things. He got his job from Xi Jinping. The Chinese Communist Party put him in that position of being Director General. They lobbied. They provided a lot of money for the effort. And so when COVID hit, he dutifully put out false information, and as you said, we still don't have the WHO coming clean on the origins. I actually have an amendment that failed in committee, real quick, that would have provided the ability of individuals who have been hurt by COVID in the United States to sue. I offered it as an amendment, and it lost at a party line vote. It would be like what we did with Saudi Arabia, with 9/11, and they didn't want, and it would get our people into court, waiving foreign immunities in order to
we got a lot
sue.
We got a lot of people in both houses who are pretty pro-China in many ways.
Oh, too
Republicans
much.
and Democrats.
Far too much.
All right, here's the head of the WHO, Tedros, this week attacking people who dare question his motives.
There has been a small minority of groups making misleading statements and purposefully distorting facts. WHO is an expression of member state-owned sovereignty. The essence of the proposed pandemic preparedness accord is to improve cooperation, coordination, and the sharing of data.
Sharing of data? They can't even get China to give us the original data on the virus.
Exactly, and added to that, there's a dual track now. They want a treaty. Yeah. These treaties would have to be ratified by the U.S. Senate, so that gives us some check and balance. But the other way around it, the end run to get this big power grab, is to change the WHO regulations, the health regulations. And in days, without any scrutiny, and I'm glad you're asking the hard questions, the administration will be arguing, and this is all of the changes that they want to make to the World Health Organization, and our sovereignty will be greatly undermined if they succeed.
Who's negotiating it for the United States? I want to ask.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure exactly who this is. It's a group of people, and
I'm sure they're extremely competent and pro nation state. This is in line, though, Congressman, is it not, with my overriding point tonight, which this is they're doing a run on nationhood, period.
Without a doubt.
The whole idea that the United States, like as Obama said, you can't put your thermostat at 72, drive as many miles as you want. You know, I'm paraphrasing, but they don't like the fact that you can get in your car right now, and even if it's expensive, drive to California, get a couple more tanks of gas, and they don't want that.
There's a profound undermining of liberty and freedom going on the Democrat side, especially at the Biden White House. That Ministry of Disinformation. You know, I broke my eye teeth on human rights in the Soviet Union back in the early 1980s. Where did you have that kind of ministry controlling, George Orwellian-like, what people
they have it in China now.
They have it in China
now, and maybe that's why so many people in the United States seem to, at least in power, seem to have a soft spot for China.
They sure do.
Congressman, stay on this issue. We really appreciate you being on it. And
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, and they keep talking about all those people with soft spots for China. Hey, let me tell you this. China owns most of our politicians. And there's that video, I should have got it, where Biden's got that kind of deer in the headlights look, kind of natural for him, I guess. And I know people's going to say, oh, he's not being Christian. Well, I mean, this is the war on the truth. The truth
We're the most multiracial, most dynamic.
You're going again?
Hang on, buddy. Just take me a second to find it. It's not labeled here.
Okay. Anyway, he's talking about China, and he said, these are not bad folks, guys. And they're really good to him, but they're not going to be good to us.
Well, they're communists. I mean, I don't know how else to slice it nice. We've fought communism for years.
Yeah, well, you remember when Obama was trying to make nice with Cuba, and then when Trump came in, he reinstated the sanctions on them again.
Hey everyone, today I'm going to show you how to use markers.
And then Jerry's playing with the computer over there.
Yeah, you don't really do it.
And but I saw today where that Biden was reinstating all that Obama had did.
Oh yeah.
They love the communism. They love the communist countries. And my deal is, if they love it, they need to go there and leave us alone.
There you go. Let us be as we are.
Yeah. You got the Wuhan one up?
This is it here.
Okay. Let me give you a little. You gonna go ahead and play it?
No.
Okay. The Wuhan one. These are the people, and there's some videos out there that I didn't want to bring because there are people jumping out of windows and stuff. They're starving to death. They got them locked down. And when you hand our sovereignty over to the WHO, which is run by the CCP, which is run by the Chinese, then right here's a little picture, a little window of what's about to happen to us if Americans don't stand up. Listen, who cares about Democrats and Republicans? I don't care. I'm not either one. I'm a Christian. I love the Lord. And you know what? I love the country He gave us. And I believe the Lord gave us His country. He instituted our country. And I think that our country was founded on Judeo-Christian values.
That's right.
And the communism has never worked. So we're going to play a little video. It's just less than a minute, but watch this little video from Wuhan.
I'll try to make it as big as I can here. Oh, hang on.
Techno Man is having technical difficulties.
He is. He got
I
the
am.
volume on.
No. Forgot to hit the transition thing there.
They just say transgender for
Oh my Lord.
What'd you say?
Nothing.
Nothing. You go ahead and do your work.
He's one of them who can't help it.
Oh, it's too fun sometimes.
Okay, you're back. What these people are, their goal to achieve is complete world domination. And they, of course, they've got it over the communist countries. They don't have any say in it at all. And when our sovereignty is handed over, I don't know if you get that phone number ready or not, brother. We need to put that phone number up there. When our sovereignty is handed over, then who knows what they're going to do here? And they hate America. They always have, and they're trying to overtake us without firing a shot. Who was it? Khrushchev said that.
Khrushchev said that.
Said they would take America one day and never fire a shot. I don't guess he knew the Chinese were going to do it.
He thought they were.
Yeah. Have you saw? They first thing they did is when Biden and those guys came in, they started this. Making it the Asian hate crimes. Remember all that stuff? And then I saw this morning on the news they were talking about something about celebrating Asian. We're not against Asian people, amen. We're not against nobody, for the love of God. But you got to be a little, you got to be a little smarter than they are when it comes to what you're watching. A lot of people just take it, for what it says. But if you look at that and realize they're trying to program us, So if something like this does occur, it's going to be a hate crime to speak out against what they're doing.
Well, we don't hate Asian people. We hate the communist government. That's
Yeah,
the key.
we hate the spirit of communism.
Right.
That's what that is. It's
That's
a
right.
spirit.
We got South Koreans are a democracy. This South Korea is
And they're
flourishing.
thriving.
That's right.
Yeah.
We good friends with it.
Yeah. Did you see the video? You can look at the satellite pictures from South and North Korea.
Mm-hmm.
It's unbelievable. The lights that are in South Korea and the things that are happening, and people are living and doing good, and then you got everybody starving to death.
North Korea.
Yeah. Kim Jong-un, he's the only fat kid in the class, ain't he?
That's right. There's a reason for that. Well, and that's the way communism works. I think the Lord Ferrell, what's his name down there in Florida, he's making them learn communism.
Oh yeah.
Or the bad sides of communism.
Yeah.
Because people don't realize what communism really is. I mean, it's the rich are rich and the poor are just dirt poor. There ain't no middle class. There's the elite and the rest of them. The elite look like they got it all together and it all works good, but it don't work that way.
Yeah, I mean, if you stop and think about it, if from the time that this administration has took office, they have been twisted on destroying the economy. Hey, they're saying now that gas is could be $9 a gallon.
Right.
And if you think about it for just a second, everything you and I and American people consume is hauled in here mostly on diesel, fossil fuels. And they're saying there's going to be a big shortage on the diesel and all that kind of stuff. And you couldn't do this. You couldn't do a better job doing this if you was letting China's leader in here do this.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
And that's who they work.
And go back to the sovereign thing. They've tried to do that in times past, and probably will affiliate that with this, and it's climate change.
Oh my God.
It's global warming, and they tried for years to enforce that and almost bring that under the UN guidelines. And when you do that, you're allowing somebody else to dictate to us, people we've not elected, people we don't have representatives, to tell us how to live.
Anything that has 3 letters in it, IRS, we didn't elect those guys.
No,
That's unconstitutional.
they're bureaucrats.
They're bureaucrats. Yeah. FBI, CIA. I mean, we can just go right on with it.
And I know some of the things that we've implemented in places are good, but when you hear the word czar, you've had the drug czar, now you got this lady now it's supposed to be over the misinformation thing. They were all bureaucrats. They're not elected officials. They're appointed by whoever's in power.
Hey, did you see that on her today? There was a cut piece on her today, and they've put her on hold because she was bragging about being the queen of disinformation, and so they quietly kind of stepped to the side. Yeah, they needed to, because you know what? Here's the thing.
Another communist ploy.
Yeah, they're losing control. They're losing control of social media. And you know what? And I don't know. I mean, sometimes maybe I'm a little slow. I don't know. But you know, I wonder about Elon Musk. I don't know if he was really serious about buying Twitter or not, which I heard it's back on again. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing: they're selling that with accordance to the subscriptions that they have, the ability to reach out to people, and now they're saying as much as 30% could just be bots. And this was the funny part, and I know people ain't gonna like this, but I mean, you know, if you don't like it, you can go off, just turn it off. I mean, there's a little off button there if you don't want to hear this. But they were saying that Biden had 81 million subscribers or something like that, you know. And now they're saying is that could be like 90%, 80 to 90% of that's bots. It's not.
There's not people.
I didn't think it's that many people go follow him. You know what I mean?
Oh, he can't follow his nonsense.
No,
he is
be
the
nice,
president.
but
gotta respect the officer.
Yeah, but here's the thing: this is a plot and a ploy to completely destroy our economy and to bring the American people down. You know, and I've heard all my life, that it comes down to, you know, feeding your family water. People's just going to do what they got to do to feed their family. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying that we need to be prayed up. We need to be ready. You know, who knows what they're going to try to pull. Right. I really think there's some good people, though, that's on our side. It's going to try to save the republic. I get mad when people say it's a democracy. It's not a democracy. This is a constitutional republic.
It's a republic. Right.
And that's why they've had so much trouble overthrowing it. They could have done overthrew. If it was a democracy, we'd have done been on with China.
Yeah. Democracy basically rules is whoever's got the most votes wins, whatever the law is. But the Constitution set up so that they can only they're limited. That's because it's a republic.
Right.
We have a democratic form of government because we elect our officials, but it's not a democracy.
Right.
But they don't teach them that in school.
No, not now.
They did us.
No, they've been trying to dumb down our kids for a long time. Hey, I was amazed right here at the young people at Mount Vale, and we got a lot of young people. The Lord so blessed us with young people. But I was amazed at the young people that are here, and I guess it's because they've been indoctrinated this way, that believe global warming is a real threat. You know.
Oh yeah, that's all they've been taught for decades.
Yeah.
Most of their school life.
Yeah. There's a little article. There's 30,000 meteorologists all over the world that they have silenced, because there's no evidence of what they're trying to say. This global warming stuff is a matter of global control.
Right.
Bill Gates, you know, Bill Gates is not a doctor, but he's doing all the vaccines and all these kind of things. And he has said repeatedly over and over, Jerry, you might find that video where he was talking about the next pandemic. Can you find that video right quick?
Let me see here, buddy.
If you can, I can. But they've got another one on the horizon. They're looking for another one. The monkeypox. Do you see that?
Yeah.
The monkeypox, and then they were talking about what was the? There was another one that they were talking about that was a possibility, but it's almost like everything that they're trying now is not working. You know.
Well, they fooled people one time.
Yeah.
People that have freedoms and understand that they can control things. There's so much they're trying to do so they can have control, and if we're not careful as American people, we fall into it because we do base ourselves on a paycheck sometimes. But the fact of the matter is, our founding fathers weren't worried about no money. A lot of them became broke even after the Revolutionary War, and we won. A lot of them lost everything because they believed in what they believed in was the freedom of itself.
And they holler us all the time. They said the Second Amendment is for people to have guns to hunt with. I said, no, they weren't nothing. Everybody hunted in to survive. Mm. I mean, you lived off of what you ate and what you shot. The Second Amendment was to stop a tyrannical government from overtaking us.
That's right.
And putting arms in the people. And there's an assault on that. We'll talk about that here in just a few minutes. I got a few things on that. But they're after the guns right now at this very moment. You know, everything that's going on, it's all against. It's all about gun control and all this thing. And you know what? I always thought gun control was when you held it with both hands. You know what I'm saying?
Hit the target.
Yeah. We in the morning we're all meeting over at Brother Jerry's and all the men and it's a men's.
We're gonna shoot Coke cans off.
Yeah.
Jerry's head.
Yeah, gonna shoot Coke cans off his head
I think not.
well, I'm gonna sight in I got an AR. I've not sighted it in yet, and I'm
You
gonna
can do a watermelon then. Make sure
Yeah.
you don't miss.
Yeah, I don't want to hit Jerry or nothing. But yeah, you know, people won't have an issue with that, man. They won't take an issue because you got a gun. You know, it's you know what? I love the Lord, man, and I love everybody I come in contact with. But and one lady here one time told me, she said, "My God, preacher, I heard that you had a gun permit." I said, "I sure do." And she said, "Well, I don't know how I feel about that." I said, "Well," I said, "let me ask you this." I said, "If we were in here having church, and some crazy loon comes in here and starts shooting children," I said, "You want me to?"
Is that it?
I think that's it. Yeah. I said, "Some crazy loon comes in here and starts trying to shoot up the place." I said, "Would you rather me have a gun or not have a gun?" I said, "I'm just telling you right now, it'd be the worst day of my life to have to take somebody's life, but I'd sure stop somebody from hurting one of these babies in here, wouldn't you?"
There you go. Absolutely.
And I'll put it out. I'll throw it out there. I mean, we're not asking for no trouble. We don't want no trouble. But I'm just telling you, we have a security team, buddy, that's about second to none right here. And we got cameras everywhere, people watching everywhere. And we don't, you know, we don't open carry in here, but some of the security teams are carrying. And we have to. I mean, they made it this way. We didn't. We don't want to hurt nobody, you know. It's a sad state of affairs. You got that video, brother?
I've got it. I'm trying to get it to transform over to our software.
He's always transforming something, ain't he, brother?
Hey, I am a
He is.
transformer, buddy.
He's like them. Let me catch this call.
Okay. Anyway,
He touched me.
there's a song about that.
All right, you ready?
Yes, sir. Play the video.
Let me get it to pull up here.
There's no song, Brother Jerry says, "Any day now."
Any day. That's right.
Not gonna work.
Well, it's giving me some issues.
Okay, well, you go ahead and I'm gonna talk about the one you're looking for is the one with Bill Gates, talking about the next pandemic and all that stuff. Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah.
Let me give you another headline real quick while Techno Man is working on his technology there. One of the headlines that hit this week was a Buffalo shooter chose his location based on frightening fact that has nothing to do with race. Our president, or resident, whatever you want to call him, was there, and he wanted to be there. He wanted the whole world to see, and especially the nation. And he was, and I hate that anybody lost their life. It's a terrible atrocity that anybody did. But let me give you the little ad right here. It said there are lessons we all can and should learn from the latest mass shooting in Buffalo, New York, including the fact that the suspect, 18-year-old Peyton Gendron, chose the location for a specific reason that did not have anything to do with race. According to a 180-page manifesto, he noted that he should be okay during this rampage because of the strict gun laws, not just in New York, but in Buffalo as well. I mean, he believed that he would be relatively safe from someone armed and prepared to defend themselves and others at the grocery store that he had chose to attack. That makes sense. You know what? I mean, it's an atrocity, and I hate it that anybody lost their life. God knows that I wouldn't have nobody hurt from nothing in this world, nor would I hurt anybody. But you know what? This guy knew he was going in to do damage. He knew there was going to be carnage, right. And he knew he could get more there because the crazy libs have took the guns away. We was in New York a couple years back, and although we are licensed to carry, you can't carry there.
Right.
You can't. There's no such thing. I guess the elites can carry. You know.
Oh, sure they. Well, they don't have to. That's the thing is they don't want us to carry, but they all got bodyguards to carry.
Yeah,
I mean, that don't make sense to me. They don't want no wall at the border, but they all got walls around their houses.
yeah. Tell
I'm
you.
just saying.
Yeah.
Say for a friend. Is it? Can you ask
Yeah.
for a friend or tell for a friend?
Yeah. The problem in that is though, the problem in that is these guys, just like that guy right there. He didn't say, "Oh, it's against the law. I don't guess I better take my gun in there."
Yeah, he didn't care.
He didn't care.
He didn't care.
You know what? And people, and here's the thing that burns me about this right here. They never have somebody that was a licensed gun carrier do one of these things. They want you to think that. They want you to think that. And they want you to believe it's people who have license that are going in shooting up places. But it is the criminals, you know, the ones that are doing these atrocities.
And if you ever lose our gun control, then the government has all the guns, and you see what happens in China, you see what happens in Russia, you see what happens in Cuba. I mean, they do what they want because you have no way to defend or protect yourself.
Yeah.
You're right. The Second Amendment was not set up for hunters.
Yeah.
It was set up to defend ourselves as a country and defend ourselves against our own government if it becomes corrupt.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was thinking here, right here in the Declaration of Independence, there's a phrase in here you don't hear much. I'm trying to find it. It says, we hold these truths to be self-evident. We know this, that all men are created equal, that they're endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are liberty, life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of government. That's us. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter, to abolish it, and to institute a new government laying its foundations on such principles and organizing its powers in such forms as to them shall they seem most likely to affect their safety and their happiness.
Wow.
That's in the Declaration of Independence. We didn't say that. Them men a long time ago wrote that.
You know the thing.
Yeah. I do.
But our resident, who don't even know what it's called, you know, but he gets up and says, you know, the Second Amendment was to prevent them from buying cannons back in the day. I don't know how dumb he thinks we are, but we're not dumb.
Must be pretty dumb. Must be pretty dumb.
The Second Amendment is not for your hunting rights, sweetheart.
That's right.
It's to protect your family. You know, I grew up, hey, look, and it ain't, I mean, I know I'm getting some age, but I grew up when kids come to school and we, you know, they drove them old trucks in there and they had
gun racks in the back.
had the gun racks in the back. Nobody said nothing. Nobody cared, you know. Didn't even lock them up, probably, you know.
That's right.
And, but now they've conditioned the people and warped the minds of the next generation to the point that, you know, that they've created this mess. The nation that forgets God is going to be turned into hell, and we've been turned into hell. We really have.
That's it. We've got so away from the scriptures, and you know, some of this that's happening is some revelation of end times almost. You see the stuff that's going on that we would have never thought. I've often wondered how they would control the world, and we always thought it would be a war or something, but this coup amendments and things really has shed a different light on how this pandemic's shed a different light on how they could. I mean, the whole world shut down at times, periodically throughout all over. Australia just really got released not too long ago. And, you know, just in even small countries that you don't even hear about were shutting down and having this pandemic. And I would have never thought, I guess, that it would come that avenue. But we see it can.
Did you see they really, they shot themselves in the foot, the left-leaning liberal media. They interviewed that guy from the Amish. Did you see that? Mm-hmm. They interviewed that guy. They said, how come you guys don't have a pandemic going on in the Amish community? He said, we don't have TVs.
Nobody knew.
I didn't know, yeah.
They just had the flu and went on, didn't it?
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. But it shows how they can manipulate.
Oh, yeah.
And how anytime you give absolute power, we know it absolutely corrupts, and that's what's going on if we're not careful. If we don't stand up as Americans and say, hey, this ain't happening now. You got something, brother?
No, I was just going to say I'm ready for your video there, but you know, we allow people to overrun us, overrule us, and I think that is a lot of what's going on now with our children also. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm proud of let's take his granddaughter for example. You and I both are talking with her a lot. You know, she's one of our leaders. Let's just go ahead and call her what she is. She's one of our leaders in our church. She's very outspoken in politics. She's outspoken in our church.
She's a Trumplican.
True and true. I don't know where she gets that from.
Yeah, I wonder where.
She is what we need in the future, but there's so many. She's one, but there's so many others that is nothing like her, but we need more like her. You know, there's so many more that is way to the left because they sit at home on their phones and they believe what the left is telling them. That they believe all the lies. They believe all the things that the Pelosi's and the Schumers and all those that are telling them that, you know, oh, it would have been so much better if Trump would have never been president.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's, Phillip and I was privileged to hear a conversation not even an hour ago that free health care was so much better if they would just believe that health care was, well, you know, I'm so underprivileged because I don't have health care, but I work so hard for it.
Right. Well, let me throw this at you and think about this right here. I'm 100% in agreement with what you just said, and we need more young people like her that'll stand up. But you know something? I'm gonna tell you something. It wouldn't have made any difference. Look, when you take weeks after the election to adjust the numbers to get your guy in there, it don't matter who voted. It don't matter who voted for who. And if we don't secure and have true and fair elections now, do away with all this ballot harvesting and all this junk they're doing. Hey, and listen, I mean, pardon the pun, but they took dominion over us. Is what they did. But we've got to get some people that's going to stand up for those rights and stop the steal that's going on. Because see, you and I would never, nor would anybody with any sense, vote for people that would deliberately destroy the country. You're not going to vote for them. And I said the other day, who put all these morons in here that's deliberately running the fuel up, running the food up, taking and destroying the country? I said, when did we all come together, have a community meeting, and say, hey, we're going to vote some people in here that's really going to tear up everything?
Watch that thing while he's talking.
Anyway, and the fact of the matter being is we didn't vote them in.
Right.
And since 2001, if we had anybody that we could make the complaints to, but we don't have. But from 2001 on, they've been cheating with Dominion. Hey, they said that Hillary Clinton went livid when she lost in 2016 because it was her turn.
Yeah.
That's what they said. She said, it's my turn. What happened? Here's what happened is they believe their own press. And she got it handed to her that night, and thank God she did, because we were sitting under the agenda 2021 when they meant to take it over in 2021. They meant to have it completely took over after her first term, and now it's agenda 2030. Look it up. Look up agenda 2030. Read about what their plans are. They're saying you'll own absolutely nothing, and you'll be happy about it. And I said, I ain't never going to be happy about that. They come get my Ford truck, we're going to have a fight. But
Yeah. I don't know if I'd fight them over there.
I'll give him your Chevrolet. I'll give him your Chevrolet.
I don't know now. I do pretty good at working on his Ford truck.
Keeps Jerry business.
Yeah.
Hey, that's the way the economy, that's capitalism, brother.
Capitalism,
The heart of it.
yeah.
Yes, sir.
Brother Doug, is that any better? Can you hear us
You know,
a little bit better now?
Have we had any comments? I didn't mean to check.
Abomination is one of them.
Yeah.
Democrats. Can't hear Jerry. Well, you're blessed, brother. Joe Canada says, yes, we have been turned over to hell, and people don't want to live now, and thinking their lives and other people's lives.
Right.
Taking their lives.
And here's what they seek to do is they want to take you away. As you was talking about free health care. Well, they want to take you away from. They want to be God to you. They want to feed you. Somebody just the other day in my family said, well, I think that we ought to have a free housing that's going to be fair for everybody. I said, we do. And I said, it's called the projects, you know. I said, that's what happens. And I said, and I'm not down on anybody. I've had to have help in my life. Everybody needs help. But it never was meant to be fourth and fifth generation. Learn to live off of the government stuff. Yeah. That's real socialism right there, headed toward communism. We've already got socialism in here, you know. And if you go down to the islands, and you look at their free health care. One guy told me, he said, you can break your leg and you have to be there sometimes 3 to 5 days before they'll set a leg. Mm-hmm. He said, but if you got the money, you can go across the town. He said, and you can be in 30 minutes to get your leg fixed. He said, if you're having a heart attack, he said, you're probably going to die. He said, but see, they don't tell people stuff like that.
Mm-mm. Well, they're trying to get control.
Yeah.
They get control of health care, it'd be how long you live. You get too old, they won't treat you, they just let you die.
They get mad if you say you ought to eat by the sweat of your brow, you know.
Yeah.
They get tore up about that.
Yeah.
You ready to play that video?
Real quick, the number I put it a little light on the top of the page there. It's 202-224-3121. It's on the very top of your page there. If you guys are wondering where the number is, that's to the congressman up there in D.C. But yeah, I'm ready to play it whenever you guys.
Go ahead and play that video, and then we'll move to our next little bullet point here.
When I was a kid, the disaster we worried about most was a nuclear war. That's why we had a barrel like this down in our basement, filled with cans of food and water. When the nuclear attack came, we were supposed to go downstairs, hunker down, and eat out of that barrel. Today, the greatest risk of global catastrophe doesn't look like this. Instead, it looks like this. If anything kills over 10 million people in the next few decades, it's most likely to be a highly infectious virus rather than a war. Not missiles, but microbes. Now, part of the reason for this is that we have invested a huge amount in nuclear deterrence, but we've actually invested very little in a system to stop an epidemic. We're not ready for the next epidemic. Let's look at Ebola. I'm sure all of you read about it in the newspaper. Lots of tough challenges. I followed it carefully through the case analysis tools we use to track polio eradication. And as you look at what went on, the problem wasn't that there was a system that didn't work well enough. The problem was that we didn't have a system at all. In fact, there are some pretty obvious key missing pieces. We didn't have a group of epidemiologists ready to go who would have gone, seen what the disease was, see how far it had spread. The case reports came in on paper. It was very delayed before they were put online, and they were extremely inaccurate. We didn't have a medical team ready to go. We didn't have a way of preparing people. Now, Médecins Sans Frontières did a great job orchestrating volunteers, but even so, we were far slower than we should have been getting the thousands of workers into these countries. And a large epidemic would require us to have hundreds of thousands of workers. There was no one there to look at treatment approaches, no one to look at the diagnostics, no one to figure out what tools should be used. As an example, we could have taken the blood of survivors, processed it, and put that plasma back in people to protect them. But that was never tried. So there was a lot that was missing, and these things are really a global failure. The WHO is funded to monitor epidemics, but not to do these things I talked about. Now in the movies, it's quite different. There's a group of handsome epidemiologists ready to go. They move in, they save the day, but that's just pure Hollywood. The failure to prepare could allow the next epidemic to be dramatically more devastating than Ebola. Let's look at the progression of Ebola over this year. About 10,000 people died, and nearly all were in the 3 West African countries. There's 3 reasons why it didn't spread more. The first is there was a lot of heroic work by the health workers. They found the people and they prevented more infections. The second is the nature of the virus. Ebola does not spread through the air. And by the time you're contagious, most people are so sick that they're bedridden. third, it didn't get into many urban areas, and that was just luck. If it had gotten into a lot more urban areas, the case numbers would have been much larger. So next time we might not be so lucky. You can have a virus where people feel well enough while they're infectious that they get on a plane or they go to a market. The source of the virus could be a natural epidemic like Ebola, or it could be bioterrorism. And so there are things that would literally make things 1,000 times worse. In fact, let's look at a model of a virus spread through the air like the Spanish flu back in 1918. So here's what would happen. It would spread throughout the world very, very quickly. And you can see there's over 30 million people die from that epidemic. So this is a serious problem. We should be concerned. But in fact, we can build a really good response system. We have the benefits of all the science and technology that we talk about here. We've got cell phones to get information from the public and get information out to them. We have satellite maps where we can see where people are and where they're moving. We have advances in biology that should dramatically change the turnaround time to look at a pathogen and be able to make drugs and vaccines that fit for that pathogen.
I mean, you can see what he's trying to do there.
Yeah.
Well, what gets me, he's a computer guy, right?
Yeah, he's
He's Microsoft.
how in the world? Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize it though. This, let me close this out and I'll explain more about this. This is actually very similar to computer viruses.
Yeah.
Viruses spread in computers about like they do in humans, because once it's the contagion starts, you can't stop it unless you contain it, stop it, put a firewall or a contagion around it and stop it. And he's pretty smart with that because it works basically the same way.
Yeah. Here's the thing that I heard said today about exactly what you just said. They said that they did all those mask mandates for us, and it was a type of control, and they were saying you could catch it through the air. In reality, we find out later that it's in the water. They put it in the water. That's where it came in from, through the water. They infected the water systems to do that, and they were saying that even Gates himself knew that the virus that they were trying to say it was spreading through the air didn't spread like it did in a computer, but they tried to make us believe that it did. And it was not a bat. We found out that later, but we won't get into all that. It'll drive you batty if you let it, But here's the thing: we're seriously looking at where the scripture said evil men will wax worse and worse, and they're waxing worse and worse, and they want complete global control. They don't realize something though. The Bible said that the earth is the Lord's, right, and the fullness thereof. It's not theirs, and they're trying to take it away from God's people. And something. I have a lot of people say, "Oh, I don't think you ought to be doing that." I said, "You know what? Somebody's got to stand up.
That's right.
Somebody's got to stand up and warn the people."
Well, Daniel stood up in his time.
Yeah, blow the trumpet in Zion, man. Let them know. We got to let people know that these people are anti-God. The biggest thing is they're anti-God. They don't believe it. They don't even believe there is a God, let alone Jesus. They don't believe in Him.
It's a spirit of Antichrist.
It's a big spirit of Antichrist that's unleashed in the earth. And let me tell you this: 25, 30 years ago, they wouldn't have got away with this stuff. Mm-hmm. They couldn't have got away with it. But they have programmed generation after generation till they've got men thinking they're women. They're soft. We grew up with John Wayne, son. You know what I mean? We grew up with real men. Clint Eastwood.
What was it Archie Bunker say? Women being were being. Was all glad of it.
Yeah.
And he song he used to sing or something.
Yeah.
But it's true, and they've watered down. You know what gets me sometimes is I hear them talk about, they use the word in school systems, and even I've heard younger people, that like capitalism's a bad word.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And we used to fight. We were the capitalists and the communists. We knew we were better than they were in the sense of what they were living. I had an article, I'm talking back in the 80s, it told if this country was turned to communism, how it would have to be changed, how many TVs would have to be taken out of houses, how many running water. I wish I could find that again. That was an old article. It really broke it down for us to understand the communist people themselves were the ones that suffer that had nothing. Hey, when that place fell over there, they had farmers over there still digging potatoes with potato forks. They had no plow, they had no tractor.
Right.
And there was so much that they did not have. And through these decades, like you said, they're programming our children that capitalism is a terrible thing, but capitalism is what built this country and made this country great. And I know it had its bad sides and its upsides, and we've had to legislate some things, but because men are men and greed takes over. But the fact of the matter is, it's better than communism any day.
Here's a bad thing to look at. Okay, we know the internet is a young thing. Okay, in our age, it's young. It hasn't been around that long. For what we are doing here on this program, I looked this up once before, and it's funny that you bring this up. I want you to look at this website that I brought up. This is a full list of all the websites about communism and what it's doing in the United States. Okay, we have over 20,000 websites dedicated on how to be a communist here in the United States.
Oh yeah.
Now, what that tells me is it's a practice that people are interested in. Whether they're interested in it and learning how not to become a communist, or interested in learning about it to communicate with them, or whatever the case may be. In my day of growing up, you know, which is right after JFK and all of that fiasco with Nixon and all that stuff, in my days, you did not mention being a communist, or you would have been looked at as being somebody that was anti-U.S., and you would have been, your mom and dad would have beat you, you know, you would have been blackballed from your house, you know.
Yeah.
And nowadays, you have every right in the world to walk around these streets and talk bad about your government. My mom and dad would have washed my mouth out with soap if I would have not said President Trump, or if I would have not said President Biden, because the respect of the office comes before not agreeing with that president.
Right.
The office deserves the respect, not the man.
That's right. That's right.
And nowadays we teach our kids to disrespect that person no matter what. And it comes from the president down to the vice president to the Senate and the Congress and everybody else. We teach our kids and everybody else the disrespect.
Right.
And it shouldn't be that way. We need to go back to our morals and our fortitude inside and teach them from our Bible, which is where our country is founded on.
Right.
And teach them exactly what we need to be teaching them, which is respect, honor, and obey, and understand that all of these things needs to come from the love and honor, the mercy, the grace that our Lord teaches us.
Right. Well, I hope that America will stand up. I hope we'll stand up, and if we don't true the vote, if we don't get, and here's the reality check for us, okay? We're going to have to get some term limits coming up for Congress people. We're going to have to, hey, them rascals, they got a little smart on us now. Let me tell you what they did. They got it set up now to where they don't even have to have a meeting about a raise. It just comes in, you know, if they want to do one.
Yeah.
And if you get one, I don't know if you noticed or not, but if you get one term in there, then you get paid the rest of your life. You can just come in and run one term, and you're going to get the same pay as everybody that's in there. How does that work, man?
How does that work?
I mean, I'd like to know, you know.
I don't know. It must be nice.
And but yeah, you're right. We're living in an age that, and it's being taught. When I was a little boy, and first thing I remember going into the first grade, I saw all the pictures of the president on the wall. They taught us the Pledge of Allegiance, you know. And then by the time I was in the fifth grade, you know, we would have a prayer up till I got in the fifth grade, and then it went to a moment of silence. And they were, and then because people were, you know, kicking against it then, and Gary Knipe, I guess he's retired now, but he was my fifth grade teacher. And Gary Knipe said, if anybody in here has a problem with this, you can go out and sit out in the hallway while we have our moment of silence and pray.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, back then. And now, I mean, you can forget about it, man. You can forget it, man. They're not going. And they would allow them to pray to any god but ours.
Yeah, that's the problem.
That'll tell you something right there.
Something right there.
Yeah.
Doug Arms said this need to turn the UN building into a low income house.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Hey, and you know what? Here's and this. Hey, I saw this and I laughed. Hey, I know it's unfortunate, and I'm my heart bleeds for people in other countries, and I understand why they want to come across that border because you talking about tyrannical government, man. It's bad. When I was in Mexico a few years back, I saw men, armed men with fully automatics, and they were walking the tops of those banks. And I asked the guy there, I said, hey man, I said, what's up with that? And he said, really, we just had a regime change. He said, these are the cartel, and he said there are different branches of them. And he said they just come in, shot all the guys off top of the roof, killed everybody in the bank, mopped up the blood, and come back in the next morning, open the bank back up, put new guys on top of it.
Wow.
And I understand why they want to come here. I really do. I'm not against them coming here legally. I'm not. And for the love of God, I would love to see the babies all get help. I'm not heartless, man. I want to help everybody. I understand why they want to come, but our government plays on that fact right there to keep that border open for fentanyl to come in,
right?
Human trafficking. And the thing I saw that I laughed at, I thought was funny. Look, you ain't got to dig real hard to find this. The Biden administration is bringing them across. The cartel was hollering across the Rio Grande there. Did you see that? And talking to, was it
Senator Cruz?
Cruz, yeah. And they were yelling at him in Spanish and saying, your president is paying us to bring these children. So DeSantis, when they coming across and they get them in, they were shipping them into Florida, and he started sending them to Martha's Vineyard and to D.C. and to Delaware. But now, even more so, when they're coming across, like in Texas and places, they're gathering them up because this administration is calling for them. Adrenochrome levels must be low is all I know. You know what I mean? I'm probably not the guy to do this because I get too passionate about it. But now they're sending them to D.C. and they need to.
Mm-hmm.
They the one ordering.
Texas,
if you order pizza, I ain't gonna send it to your house.
No.
Hey, we got one question here, and some other people might have missed it here, and just let you chime in here and let you answer it for us. When we call the number on the screen, what do we say?
Tell them that you want you need to talk to one of your state representatives, that you're standing in opposition of handing our sovereignty over to the WHO. That's what I told them.
Don't vote for the amendment.
No,
Don't vote.
but I don't know that we get a vote anyway.
The Congress and Senate has to vote it.
They have to pass it.
They have to
They have
pass
to.
it.
I'm pretty sure. That's what I was reading because I think that was some of the thing they were worried about. The Democrats are, but I think they have to pass it.
Marjorie, I forget her
Taylor
name.
Greene.
Yeah, Marjorie Taylor Greene. She was on the congressional floor this morning.
She's bad.
Oh man, yeah. I bet she'd be a good.
I'd hate to fight that woman, wouldn't you? She ain't scared of nobody, you know what?
But anyway, she was on the congressional floor this morning, and she was talking about it.
This is being mean, but if Clint Eastwood ever identified as a woman, that'd be Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Don't tell her that. She'll come looking for you.
Don't tell her I said that. She'd whoop old man like me.
Oh Lord!
She probably just shoots you. She probably sure she carries.
You ought to get on her TikTok. You ought to get on her Instagram. You ought to subscribe to everything that woman's doing. I'm telling you, she's a Christian. She loves the Lord. She loves our country. And and they're trying to fix it where she can't even run again.
Yeah.
Because she's told so much truth on them.
If you get to go on my trip with me, buddy, I was going to talk to you about that. You go in the building and see the wall around her door, all around her door.
I've seen it.
Is nothing but just solid thank yous, cards, Christian letters, everything about how she has helped run the country. But nobody else, all up and down the hallways, nobody else is like that.
No.
And they made her take down her Christian plaque.
Yeah. Well, think about this with her, okay? Think about this right here. They literally, to God, hate the woman. And it goes back to what I said earlier in the broadcast here. When did we have a town hall meeting and say we're going to put these idiots in here that's going to destroy everything? Name me one thing they've touched. Name me one thing. Sports. They've destroyed sports. Gas. Look at that. Somebody said, "Oh, the president, he don't have anything." I said, put Trump back in there. In 2 months, gas would be back where it's supposed to be. Open the pipeline. If the president don't have nothing to do with that, then what did closing the pipeline do?
Also, he canceled the drilling rights.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was going to hit
The
that.
leases or whatever they
Yeah, he canceled 3 leases this past week, and they're looking for fuel to hit $6 a gallon by August.
You can't sell electric cars with gas.
No, you can't.
That's my theory.
But they're not wanting to sell electric cars now because they hate Elon Musk, because he said he come out today and said he was voting against them.
Yeah.
He said they're the most divisive party in America, and he said they cry racism all the time, and he said they're the biggest racists in America.
Yeah.
One more thing I wanted to hit real quick. But think about this: that whole shooting thing here in Buffalo we was talking about. You know something? Here's something Biden won't ever talk about, and Lord knows that I hate for anybody to lose their life. I hate it. God knows. Color don't matter to me. It don't matter to God. But they never talk about black on black crime. Never. Hey, and that young man, God rest his soul, at Austin East, that he was shot, was it 2 years ago, a year or two ago? Remember that? Hey, that broke my heart for that child, man, and that mama and them. I hate it, but you know something? The kid shot out of his own pocket with a gun. It wouldn't matter if he's black, white, yellow, or purple. If you shoot at a cop, I got pulled over. I did a U-turn, and they put a sign up I didn't know was there. I did a U-turn. The guy pulls me over, and he walks up. He says, "You got any weapons in the car?" I said, "Yes, sir." I said, "I got a .380 in my pocket and a 9mm laying right there in the dash." He jumped back and grabbed for his gun. I said, "Hey, buddy," I said, "you ain't got no trouble out of me." I said, I'll give them to you. I said, "You hold them till we get done right here." You know, and I looked at him, and he's about the age of my son, and it broke my heart for him, because we're living now in a society that wants to defund. Well, they're saying we want to fund.
Well, they did want to defund the police.
Now they're
wanting to fund the police.
Yeah, he's wanting to
it's
now.
Amazing, isn't it?
Oh, it's amazing, yeah. But anyway.
Oh, he don't know what to say.
Yeah. Well,
he knows what to say.
You know the thing.
The thing.
But back to Marjorie Taylor Greene. You know what? Most of our politicians were like her 40 years ago. Yeah. They would fight you for this country. And now I'm looking at this one right here. It says Senate overwhelmingly passes $40 billion Ukraine aid bill, and here's who voted against it. And you got Mitch McConnell, the big rhino himself, sitting there like this. And, of course, everybody knows Schumer. He's a pedo, and he's all that mess anyway. And I don't care if they like that or not. Look it up. There's pictures of him and a little African-American girl over there on Pedo Island. And that brings out another whole subject we don't want to talk about. But think with me. Back in the day, we had politicians like Marjorie Taylor Greene that would stand up. Hey, I'm not going to go on record as saying, but we got some right here in Tennessee that should have stood up, that's representing us right now, that should have stood up when all this was going down, when they stole the election, and they didn't. And I emailed them and told them, I said, I'm voting for whoever runs against you in the primary because I don't think you did right. And I'm still going to vote against them. Now, if they win the primary, I'm going to vote for them. It's better than the alternative. But we need some people like Marjorie Taylor Greene that'll stand up. Yeah. Hey, Rand Paul stood against this $40 billion. You know why they pushed that on through, though, don't you? Their slush funds were getting low. They got to get some money back. It's the truth.
They pushed over it.
Yeah.
Hey, we got one comment here. JoJo says, oh, by the way, hello, Miss JoJo. It's good to see you again. Glad y'all are doing better. So sad to see people addicted to. I said that right back. So sad to see people. Shut up.
I didn't say nothing.
You're sitting there laughing.
Addicted to any drug.
Addicted to any drug, but when you come from a small town
small town.
She corrected it.
Why don't you read that? Because my eyes are just
so sad to see people addicted to any drug. I can see it that when you come from a small town and everyone is dead that you knew when you lived there, it's sad. I'm for shutting the borders down.
Okay, I see where she's.
Yeah. Yeah.
That thing's just bouncing all over.
I know, you're all right. The way you hit me, I didn't say nothing. You told me to hush.
Because you're sitting there laughing at me.
Yeah.
And it was a good opportunity.
There's a lot of subject matter there anyway to laugh at. But anyway, let's get ready to wind this thing down. But I wanted a couple other things I wanted to hit, guys, before we got out of here.
For clean air, she says.
For clean air?
Yeah.
He don't want to go out and eat lunch with you then, does he?
Who's for clean air?
Bye.
Oh.
Okay. Hey, let me give you We'll have lunch together. We'll talk about it later. Yeah. All right. Hey, here's one more to hit the news. And if you got something that you want to know about, you want us to study out and get you the facts on what's going on. This one here blew me away. This is, I guess we've lost our innocency, maybe, if you will. But this hit today or yesterday one. It said FBI paid informant plus mentally ill man, another fake terror plot. And this was the headline. Listen to the headline. It said, how low will an FBI paid informant go? How about preying on a young man with such severe paranoid schizophrenia that he has been declared legally incompetent by enticing him into a terrorist plot created by the FBI? We've actually seen it before, usually targeting young Muslims or idealistic activists. This time, the target was Jerry Drake Varnell, a 23-year-old who was supposedly a right-wing extremist. The cases follow a pattern. The informant befriends a vulnerable young person, supplying them with drugs or money or other favors, usually badgering or cajoling, I don't know what that even word means, or otherwise goading the target to express extreme views, then leading them along a plot to blow something up. It's unethical, it ruins lives, and it does nothing to keep us safe. Now watch this right here. According, let's see, let me get it right here. The family disputes that he had any anti-government ideology at all, saying in a statement, there is no doubt in my mind that this informant began this hate against the government, and my son followed along because others easily influenced him. They say that their son has suffered through countless serious, full-blown schizophrenic, delusional episodes, and he has been put in numerous mental hospitals since he was 16 years old, and that the FBI surely was aware of his illness. They call out the fact that their son contributed nothing to the alleged plot. It said, what the public should be looking at is the fact that the FBI gave our son the means to make this happen. He has no job, no money, no vehicle, no driver's license due to the fact that he has schizophrenic, and notes that the FBI came, picked him up from our home. They gave him a vehicle, gave him a fake bomb, and every means to make it happen, none of which he had access to on his own. And they wanted that headline. They wanted to run in and save the day, like Biden's doing over the baby food stuff. Yeah. Oh, he's passing something to help the babies. Well, he ought to stop sending it to the border. Yeah. I mean, if you think I'm lying, but what they wanted to do is they wanted to run in and save the day and say this anti-American right-wing extremist guy was going to blow up everything, and the kid didn't know nothing. He didn't have no idea. Didn't have a car, didn't have a job, didn't have a license. Surely wouldn't have known how to make a bomb. But they wanted those headlines, and they don't care what happens to him. They don't care.
I've often wondered that, and I lean a little bit sometimes on the conspiracy part of it, but I wonder sometimes if they don't manipulate people into these shootings or even hire them.
Well, that's what that was saying right there, that they pushed on the Muslim extremists and other young people before, but they're needing a white nationalist now. Mm-hmm. And the next thing you know, they're going to be then they'll get somebody like that, and it'll be crimes against Asians, because they want to stress that because they're about to give our country to them if we don't stand up and do something about it.
Yeah. Well, they're trying to divide, and that's one thing communism does. They divide the nation economically, socially, and racially, and then bring in a savior to save it all.
Right.
And then you just follow them. And that's kind of what happened. That's what's going to happen in the end time with the Antichrist. Whatever happens is going to be so drastic that they won't. The world is really almost primed for somebody to come in. They would accept almost somebody to come in and take over that could bring peace to the world and bring peace to places for a moment.
Yeah,
and that's what it's almost priming itself. Well, maybe the world is priming. We feel we're living in the last days anyway, so this may be a priming for this to get ready to move into that direction. They take it now. Somebody stepped in America and say, I can fix all this and we'll be all right.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for us who still understand the Constitution and the rights and the voters and They would take a dictator that would come in and say, "Hey, the Philippines, did you see that? They voted a dictator's son back into power over there for re-election."
Wow.
Now, I don't know that he's going to be a dictator, but he was the son of the dictator that they ousted years ago. They voted him in the other day. He won by a landslide, I think, or some crazy thing. But,
You know, look, the hate that we had for the former president in America was all propagated by the media.
sure.
They hated him. He I said this the other day. Look, I have not seen one Build Back Better hat. Have you? Have you seen? I'm asking for a friend. Find me one. I don't want to wear it, but I just like to meet the dude that would be crazy enough to wear the thing. Yeah, that dude owes. If you see him, you tell him he owes me some diesel fuel.
That's right. That's right.
Right?
That's right.
You don't see no Build
Lower
Back
grocery bills or something.
Yeah. You don't see no Build Back Better hats.
No.
Hey, and everybody knows I'm an old gearhead, but over at the rod runs, they had little kids running around everywhere with shirts on that said "hiding from Biden," you know.
I've seen that.
but what I'm saying, I said all that to say this. I don't know that the Lord won't be back before 2024. I don't know that Trump's going to run in 2024. But you know what? What else? What other choice do we have? I don't know anybody standing up saying, "Boy, he's doing a chipper job now, buddy."
There ain't nobody.
No.
All of them voted for him that did truly vote for him are quiet.
Yeah, I'd be ashamed of it, wouldn't you?
I seen a shirt the other day that said something about Build Back America Better, so just let it come back the way it was. I'd be happy.
Yeah. Well, hey, a lot of them that voted for him, they can't talk no way. They've been dead 40 years. You know what I'm saying? Hey, that one state, did you see that one state? There was over 10,000 votes came in, and they were all born on the same day, 1912.
1912.
1912. Every one of them had the same birthday in 1912. 10,000 votes came in. Yeah.
Same year you was born.
Close to it.
I know it. Hey, and with all that being said,
a little bit after you though.
Yeah. But with all that being said, we don't have a choice. If Trump runs, we're going to vote for him. But this is my heart. I would like to see DeSantis, Marjorie Taylor Greene, because I think Trump did what he could to help. You know what I mean? I think he did.
If he did nothing for the American people as a whole, he opened the eyes to a lot of things.
Yeah. Hey, and I saw a lot of the African American leadership standing up, and they were saying, you know what, we had a lot more help under Trump. Mm-hmm. And they're saying, hey, Biden promised $50 billion to help them. And, you know, he's got it whittled down to $2 billion now, and they won't get that.
No.
They won't get that.
They pull on the African American vote. That's a whole different
every
process.
4 years.
4
yeah.
years
they come and visit and tell them how much they love them, and they don't do nothing to help them.
They ain't helped the Democratic Party. Probably ain't helped them since Johnson.
Probably, yeah. Anyway, you guys, anybody got anything else that we need to throw in there? Hey, for real, if you have something that you want us to talk about, I know there's a lot of subject matter out there now, and it seems like almost every day we get hit with a new crisis. And I was just made aware of this thing that's going to happen the 22nd through the 28th. Is they're all going to meet there, but you know, the regime we have in there right now secretly sent these amendments to the meeting ahead of time for the WHO, and wasn't going to say anything about it.
No.
And I hope you're right. I hope our Congress and our Senate will shoot that down before it goes over there, because that's against our Constitution.
That's right.
And I hope the people that are watching, please tag somebody, like and share this video, and tell everybody that you know that loves their country, they need to call their representative. Leave a note. I'll leave a little message. I left Marshall Blackburn one today, and it wouldn't hurt to call the Harshberger, however you say her name.
That sounds good to me.
Yeah.
It's spelled
She's Congress and Marshall's Senate, right?
Correct.
Right.
In this district, yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, we always want to close out with a little prayer unless you guys got something.
Got one that posted, Bobby Couch.
Yeah.
Says, as you all was talking about being waxing worse and worse, it's probably more than we could imagine how bad it could get. That's true.
Well, hey, with that right there being said, let me give you this. And I don't know if Jerry's got a minute to stick this on here or not, but there's a website called Unshackled Minds. And this is an old video. I've given it to everybody that wouldn't listen to it. And that really troubles me. It deeply troubles me that people won't watch. And this lady I think she was from the Netherlands that did the video. She was a hard-line liberal, and she was trying her best. She was going to prove that Donald Trump was the great Satan, and she was going to pull out all these things on him. And when she started doing her homework, she found out about all the pedophilia that our government's involved in, that Hollywood's involved in, the adrenochrome. If you don't know what adrenochrome is, use your Google Chrome. That's what they named that after. And look it up. It probably won't tell you. You'll probably have to go to DuckDuckGo. But yeah, it's called The Fall of Cabal. And you want the first one. And it's a little old, it's a little dated, but it'll take you back to 2017. It'll show you all those immigrants that were coming. There are videos of the trucks, the food trucks, the tractor and trailers that were hauling them, the buses. There's videos of them getting paid. It's just unbelievable. To get where they started from to where they got to in the length of time, they'd had to walk 44 miles a day. You can't walk that far in a day. You might run that far, but you can't walk that far. And but anyway, it deals with the corruption that's in our government. If you really are serious and you want to know, and just like Bobby Couch said, Brother Couch, he said, we really don't know. If you don't know, it's because you didn't watch the video. And you can see the corruptness of the human trafficking that the president that's in there now has been involved with. The one before Donald Trump was the one before that. People, if you say his name, then you got to be a racist because you didn't like him. I have never been a racist in my life.
I didn't like him because he's black. I didn't like him because of his policies.
I hated his policy. I didn't care about his skin color.
I don't care if he was red or white or blue. I just didn't like the way he done it.
I was just glad he wasn't from Alabama. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, sure. Can you prove it?
That was a little jab on Jerry. But anyway, if you got a link up there, brother, they can get to.
He's good. He's got you.
Okay. There's a link. We got a link up already. Unshackled Minds, A Fall of Cabal. If you really want to know, go in there and watch it. It's 3 hours. I don't have 3 hours to watch it. I watched it 4 times. It's unbelievable. It'll show you the pure corruption that's in this country, that's in our government, that's in Hollywood, and you need to know. You need to know what's really going on. And can I tell you this? It's Republicans and Democrats, but there is a group of people that's coming out of the Republican Party. They call them Trumplicans now, but they're coming out. He's absolutely changed the Republican Party. George Bush was one of the worst Republicans you could ever have. We'll get into that maybe one day, but he was a horrible president. Gas was as high then under him in 2008 as it is now, 2005 and 6. But anyway, watch that video. I double dog dare you. If you want to know the truth, we're in a war against the truth right now.
That's right.
All right. You guys about ready to say goodnight, Gracie?
Good night, Gracie.
All right. Well, hey, let's pray. And let's ask the Lord to help us. Let's ask God to help us in this WHO meeting that's coming up. And we need. And can I tell you this? I'm not saying this because I'm pastor at Mount Vale. I love this church and I love these people. But I'm telling you, there's a move of God at Mount Vale Church that's unprecedented. I'm not saying nobody else has the move of God. I'm not saying that we're the only ones, but I'll tell you this right now. When you show up at Mount Vale, there's somebody that's bigger than the building will come in this house. Yes, I told a friend of mine, he's probably watching tonight, he was agnostic, but he was going to come anyway. And I told him, I said, brother, I said, we can be friends. I said, I love you, man. I said, I'm just glad you come. He said, well, I'm just coming because of my family. And I said, I promise you this. I said, you keep coming here. I said, Jesus is going to introduce himself real proper to you. And it was on December the 13th that we saw him come down to an altar of repentance. Yes, been forever changed. Lord's called him into the ministry. Great guy. And but if you come down here, I promise you, the Lord will introduce himself to you. Amen. We've seen a lot. Rarely is there a weekend that goes by that we don't see somebody saved.
That's right.
Somebody born again. Somebody coming back to God. Backsliders are coming home here.
Yes, sir.
People are being saved at Mount Vale. And I'm telling you, it has nothing to do with who the pastor is. Nothing. I take no glory for what God's doing. so thankful and humble. I'm as surprised as anybody that he would show up and help me. And I'm so glad he does, and these other ministers here. And we got some preachers in here to burn the house down. I'm telling you, come on in, check us out. Hey, let's pray. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you like this video, share it with somebody. Let's get the word out. Hey, if we don't get any interest in the thing, we'll fold her up and quit for too long. But if we start picking up some followers and some people that want to watch and want to know what's going on around, then we're going to continue to do it. Thank you. How many you got watching?
I got 16.
It's down to 16 now. We was up there a little bit.
It's really good.
Yeah. When you get ready to pray, they all cut us off, don't they? Hey, let's pray. Father, we're so thankful, Lord, that we know that you are in control of everything that goes on. And God, there's nobody that's above you. God, I thank you, Lord, that you have given us the wisdom and the understanding. And Lord, you've put these materials in our hands to share. And God, my prayer is, Lord, that you would remove the wicked that's in control, Republicans, Democrats, Independents, and raise up the righteous, God. For we know and understand, God, Lord, that we are living in the last times. And God, we're asking you, Lord, that you would protect our country, God, that you would move by your Spirit. God, this thing is coming up, God, on the 22nd with the WHO, and our government, Lord, is already thrown in to remove our sovereign rights in our country, God. God, I'm just pleading the blood of Jesus over our country right now. And I'm praying, God, that you would stop this, that you would move and minister, God, Lord. God, in our behalf, God, remember, Lord, God, your children that are here. And Lord, we're suffering under these tyrannical regimes that have took us over. God, I'm asking you, Lord, raise up the righteous, put the wicked out of office. Keep your hand upon us, God, for we are one nation under God. My prayer is, God, Lord, this is Friday night, Lord. Sunday's coming. God, we're looking, we're believing, and we're praying, God, for the lost that'll be here. And God, that the anointing and the Spirit of God would show up. That you'd bless the singing, the preaching, and set the altars on fire, God. And God, give us a great harvest in these end days. And God, may everybody under the sound of my voice be ready should you come or call. We give you praise.